Authoring e-learning materials is generally time-consuming, particularly for those materials which are designed for independent use and include interactivity. And this is partly because tasks may be complex to design, and those tasks, any instructions and explanations and feedback, need to be detailed and clear. Here's an example. Here are some multiple choice questions which are aimed at checking students' understanding of how we use defining and non-defining relative clauses. So they've already studied how we use relative pronouns such as which and who and that, and they've also studied relative clauses where you can omit the relative pronoun. In these multiple choice questions there may be 1, 2 or 3 possible answers, and so it takes quite a bit of time to design the feedback. Here's an example. So I'm going to choose an incorrect answer first of all. So you can see that you need to write feedback not only for the correct answers but also the incorrect answers. If I go on to the next question here, again I'm going to choose 2 incorrect answers, and we've got a bit more detail there. And finally, in this last question, all 3 of the answers are possible. So let's see what happens when we choose only 2 of them. So you can see here that designing multiple choice questions like this when there are 2 or more possible answers is quite complex. Fortunately, Xerte provides ways to save time when authoring by reducing repetitive project building work to a minimum. Much of this involves creating your own templates for pages, layouts, questions, answers, and making copies of them either within a project or from one project to another. If you're using Xerte on a regular basis to develop learning objects, you'll probably find that you're using certain page types again and again. You may also want consistency across the projects you create for the same audience. For example, consistent project settings, consistent format and wordings for task instructions or generic feedback. And you can save a lot of time and achieve this consistency by copying whole projects, copying pages within projects, copying items within projects, for example questions or answers or other types of item. You can also save time by importing pages from other projects. So we're going to look at a few examples of these. So first, here we have a learning object focused on sound spelling relationships, 1-syllable words which end with a vowel and then double L. It starts with a short awareness raising task and then focuses on words with common sound spelling patterns before ending with a listening task. This is a second project focusing on 1-syllable words ending vowel and double S. So you can see it has a similar format to the previous project, and it's been created by copying the first project and then editing it. So we have this page which again focuses on words with common sound spelling patterns before proceeding to a listening task. And you can see how we've saved time here by making a copy of the first project and then editing it. And this saves time because the instructions and the formatting for each of the two projects are very similar. So just to remind you how to copy a project, you find the project you want to copy in the workspace and you highlight it, and then you click on the copy icon. And the copy appears at the top of the folder, and then you can go into Properties to rename it. You can also copy a page within a project. So here's a learning object focusing on listening skills and the topic of working from home. It follows a familiar format, starting with activation of learners' prior knowledge of the topic, before focusing on some key vocabulary from the listening. After the listening task, there's a task related to noun, noun and adjective noun collocations. These are collocations from the listening. So that's one page, and then there's another page which follows the same kind of format. So here, this second page has been copied from the first, as it shares the same instructions and the same formatting. We can see something similar for some close listening tasks later in the project. Finally, within a page, copying questions which have a similar format also saves time and helps achieve consistency. Here we have a page in which students' understanding of the differences in the way simple past and present perfect verb forms are used is checked. You can see that each question has the same format, a true-false question. So you can save time by creating the first question and then making copies of that question to create the other 7 questions. You can also save time with the feedback. The green tick and the red cross have been added as images for the first question, and then the question with the feedback has been copied. So to copy a page, you highlight that page in the authoring interface, and then you click on the duplicate icon here. And that copy will appear at the bottom of the project structure. You can then change the title. To copy a question, it's the same procedure. So you just highlight the question and then click on the duplicate icon. So this is the original question here, and this is the copy of that question. For multiple choice questions, it's a good idea to drag answers into different locations after you've copied them. So here we have 2 questions. The second question is a copy of the first, and the correct answer in both of those questions is in the third position. So we're just going to change that by dragging the correct answer in question 2 to a different position in the list. You can also import and adapt pages from other projects using this icon here. So this brings up a copy of your workspace. You click on the folder that you want. You find the project that you want to copy a page from. You select the page here, and then you click on Import Pages. And then that page will appear at the bottom of the project structure. To import pages from other projects, you really need to know where these pages are located. So it's a good idea to keep a record of pages you think that you may use again in other projects. Finally, you can create your own templates for specific types of task. So here's a template for an ordering task using the sortable grid page. You can see that notes for authors have been put into the page text or instructions area. These can be easily deleted and replaced with instructions, context, background information or explanation for learners. Any images you want to include in projects need to be uploaded before being placed on specific pages. If you're including fairly generic images simply to enhance the visual appeal of the page, for example, photos of students talking in groups or giving presentations or working on laptops, you can save time by uploading a batch of image files before placing the ones you want to use on the pages. So here we've uploaded a batch and then we can allocate those to specific pages. Once the project has been authored, you can auto-delete all the unused image files through Media and Quota in the project properties. So here you'll see a list of all the images that you've uploaded into your project, including those which are not being used. And if you go to the bottom here and then click on Delete All Unused Files, that will get rid of all of those files which are not being used. If you take this approach to adding generic images, you'll probably find that you're reusing images across different projects, but you may feel this is not an issue. So to sum up, you can save time and achieve consistency by copying whole projects and using them as templates, by copying pages within projects and items on pages such as questions, answers or other types of item. You can also import pages from other projects, and you'll also save time by uploading and deleting images in batches. Please click on like if you found this video useful, and do add any questions or comments to this YouTube page. Finally, subscribe to this channel to hear about more videos on Xerte.